Hello guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you my rifle cleaning kit. It's the Wehrmacht Reinigungsgerät 34, which basically translates as cleaning equipment 34, and the 34 corresponds to 1934 when the rifle kit was issued. And it's a little metal box here which was issued to all German riflemen who were issued a Mauser K98. It's about 5.5 inches long. It's about 3 inches wide and just under an inch thick. It's basically a steel container. The pre-war containers were, I think they were zinc or nickel plated steel. Once the war started, they were painted, and as you can see, it has a kind of a blue-gray color to it. Late war tins were painted a khaki or tan color. All the German tins that were produced from 1934 to 1945 were marked. Some of them had date marks, but they were all marked, maker marked. Before the war, they tended to have the full name of the company that made the item, but once the war started, the Germans began using a code system, either letters or numbers. And as you can see, my tin is stamped with a 64, which corresponds to the company of G. Appel. I think G. Appel were the only company that used a numerical code. The rest of them would have been letters. But there were several manufacturers of these items. There is a Waffenamt stamp on the lid just next to the maker mark. Quite a nice item, quite a nice tin. It isn't complete. The so-called spoon or takedown tool is missing in my example, which seems to have been a common occurrence with a lot of these tins for some reason. So this is a wartime dated tin. If you ever come across any tins with no markings, they tended to be post-war tins. The Germans actually used this particular cleaning kit up until the late 50s, early 60s for their G3 rifles. The late 50s and early 60s ones had different markings on the top, and they were usually date stamped with a stamp on the top lid, denoting the date of manufacture. But the tins made in the 1950s up until the late 50s tended to be unmarked. So, as I say, this is a wartime production tin. The Germans were very keen on their soldiers cleaning their kit at least once a day, so they were taught to clean their rifles daily. And using my Soldatenbuch here, my handbook for the German riflemen from 1940, there is a chapter in it which basically details the cleaning of the rifle. So we come to the chapter here which says Waffenpflege, which says or translates as weapon care. And then it says here Gebrauch des Reinigungsgerätes 34, or use of the cleaning kit. It does have several illustrations. So that is the full content of a tin. The tins were affectionately known as tobacco tins by German soldiers, or cigar tins, because of the shape and size of these tins. But that would have been the contents of a brand new tin. And then the chapter goes and shows the soldier how to clean the rifle using the chain there with the padding, the wads or wicks, whatever you want to call them, using the pull through and the various brushes. That's oiled wicks they would have used to oil the barrels. There is an oiler can in the tin. This particular tool here, it's called the Hülsentopf Weicher, which basically translates as breech wiper. It was used to clean the breech. It was also used as a takedown tool to remove the magazine plate, but the main function was to, as you can see here in this diagram, to wrap some of the cotton wipes onto the end of it, and you would be able to clean the breech of the rifle. And as I say, that is missing in my example. So anyhow, that's the chapter in the book. So what I'm going to do now is just open the tin and show you the contents of the example that I have. So looking at the tin, you can see there are two lids to it. There's a shallow container on the bottom, and there's a longer space on the top here. The shallow container would have contained the oiled padding wads, whatever you want to call them, wicks or whatever, for cleaning. And then the other side had the actual tools required. So I'm going to take them out in a minute, but inside the container there is a pressed separator to keep everything in place, keep everything nice and tidy. So I'm just going to empty the contents and we'll show you what's inside here. I've just removed the contents of the tin, and as you can see I've got two brushes, a pull-through chain and a oiler, and it would have fitted into the top here in two little compartments. You can see the sheet steel inside the tin, and it keeps everything nice and tidy. So we've got the oiler here, which the Germans call Öltropfer. It just works by pressing on the top, which introduces a amount of air into the cylinder, and pressing up the bottom nozzle, and that releases the oil. There's no oil in the oiler here, but you would have used the oiler to oil whatever you were going to oil, obviously. This one here is a steel version. Late war ones were made out of a plastic material, Bakelite. There were two steel versions, a slightly simplified one, which is a mid-war production, and this is the original one here, and these were used throughout the war. You can remove the top and the bottom to fill the cylinder with oil as required. We've got two brushes. We've got the so-called Reinigungsbürste, which translates as cleaning brush, and that would have been used just to clean the bore of the rifle. And this is the Ölbürste, or oiling brush. So you would have applied oil to the brush here, and these brushes attached to the bottom of the pull-through chain, and that would have just pulled through the barrel to clean and oil the bore. There's a little loop on the end here for fixing the hooks, or else putting through the wick to pull through. I've got a early war or pre-war chain here. It's made out of aluminum links with these little beads here protecting the bore. Not all of them, but many of them were maker marked, and this one here is maker marked. There's an M on the top, and M stands for Mundlos, which is the company that made the chain, and there's also a Waffenamt mark. I'll do a photograph to show it off. You can't really see it. And I'll do the same with the marking on the lid. The oiler is also marked on the top here with Hawick, which is the company that made the oiler. It's just up there, that's the maker mark. The brushes are not marked. Later in the war, the aluminum was required for aircraft production and the like, so they changed the links to, I think either zinc or nickel, I can't remember offhand. After that, they were made out of a soft steel, and at the very end of the war, they were omitted completely. They were just left with the chain. The links basically protect the bore from the chain, stop any scratching of the rifling, and make sure that everything is nice and straight when it goes down. So basically that's the contents of the tin that I've got. As I said, that would have been the takedown tool or spoon, but that is missing in this example here. So I'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed that little video of my Reinigungsgerät 34 or rifle cleaning kit. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.